And the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
The United States of America,
Which
and
stands
to the republic
which stands
one
nation
under God,
indivisible,
and justice for all.
this for all.
Okay, first order of business tonight is the special permit application of Richard Chevrolet, Jill Silverman, Highland Avenue. Can we hear the call for that, please?
Yes, sir. Special permit application of Richard Chevrolet, care of Stephen. Sorry if I kill your last name, Stephen Gudice?
Judas.
Sorry about that.
Yep, no problem.
LS Harry E. Cole and Son, 876 South Main Street, Plantsville, Connecticut, 06479, to construct a new building and parking area for Richard Chevrolet. Property located on Highland Avenue is generally shown on the assessor's map number 28, lot number 12, in an I2 zone. Packet information is available for review on the town's website homepage under documents distributed or displayed during virtual meetings.
Thank you. And representing the applicant tonight?
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Commission members. For the record, my name is Stephen Judas. I'm with the office of Harry Cole and Son, located at 876 South Main Street in Plantsville. Here tonight on behalf of Richard Chevrolet and their used car store and service and body shop. Our application is for map 28 parcel 12 property on Highland Avenue. It's owned by 1638 Trust and 1638S Trust. Our applicant tonight is Forge AS Associates LLC, Richard Chevrolet. So our property is an I2 industrial zoned property. It's 18.5 acres. It's currently undeveloped. It has frontage on Highland Avenue to the west, and some other developed properties to the south and to the east, and more undeveloped property to the north of our parcel. The property, Bill, do you think you could advance one more sheet on that? There we go.
That one?
Yeah, that
one. Wait.
Either
That one.
that one works. That's perfect. Thank you. The property has a wetland area along our northerly property line. Topography on this site drops off from Highland Avenue into the site and then gradually slopes up towards the east of the property to a high point off-site from our proposed construction area. We're not proposing development on the whole 18.5 acres. What you're seeing here is approximately 4.5 acres of property. So our proposal falls under Section 30, Schedule A-43 of the Planning and Zoning Regulations, proposing to construct a new building and parking areas for this proposed use. Richard Chevrolet, as you know, has a facility up the street. They're looking to expand their services, and this parcel is identified as a good location for them. The building would be a 25,000 square foot building. We have 174 parking spaces throughout the site. Some of these spaces would be used for display purposes along the front of the property. Other parking spaces along the south end of the building would be used for service and body shop customers. Then in the rear of the property, we're proposing parking for employees, vehicles waiting to be worked on, and approximately 30 vehicle rental fleet that they plan to use for people for the cars that are being serviced. The building itself would have a body shop and a repair area, and offices for personnel. There'd be a parts area and restrooms, lunchrooms, and such for the employees. They're also proposing in the southeast corner of the property a drive-in kind of drop-off area for the body shop, and that area would also be used to drop off vehicles when the facility is closed. It's a covered area that the vehicles could be dropped off in and would be left out in the elements for any vehicles that needed repair. The site itself, from an access perspective, we tried to line up the driveway with an existing curb cut across the street. That's why you see the defined bend in the roadway there. In discussions with the DOT, they felt this was the best location for our access to the site, and our site distances are very adequate at this location, and coming in opposite the existing driveway across the street is the safest alternative. Although that did require some wetland filling, we did get a wetland approval from the Wetland Commission on September 1st, so we're in good shape with the wetlands. From the site is public water and public sewer serviced. We will have a pump located on site due to the fact that the sewers in Highland Avenue are higher than our proposed facility, so we would be pumping the sewers up to Highland Avenue. There's also a water separator proposed on site for any floor drains that they have in the building. Stormwater management is being achieved through the use of infiltration basins. We have one on each side of our proposed entrance driveway. The one to the south of the driveway also accepts water from off-site properties, and then lets that water run through our system. Our front parking area runs to the drainage facility on the north side of the entrance, and then the building and the rear parking lot discharge to another detention facility located in the northeast corner of the property. These detention basins are really very shallow grassed areas with infiltration trenches and forebays. We were able to develop a low impact design for this that didn't really have a lot of hard structures. We use a lot of grass swales and stone infiltration trenches and so forth to provide infiltration and cleaning of water before it heads off to the wetland areas. Another thing, if you just, I know this isn't the Wetland Commission, but we did propose some enhancement areas. Those areas that are hatched to the north of our property are areas that we're going to be enhancing with wildlife planting to promote wild habitat. That had to do with compensation for the wetland filling on site. We have worked with staff. We did receive engineering comments, and we went through and addressed those comments, and we recently received comments from the fire department, and we revised the plans according to those requests and resubmitted those plans as well. So we believe the application is in good shape. There are some architectural plans. If you were interested in seeing those, here's the floor plan and the elevation views. The middle view there is the front of the building. The bottom view is the southerly side, and then the up top view is the north side of the building. So that pretty much entails the application before you. We do have detailed erosion sedimentation plans and details and notes, narratives on the site. We have a very extensive landscape plan. We did meet with the beautification committee and took in recommendations from that committee as well. But we think that we put together a pretty positive application, and we hope that you feel the same. And I'd love to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Okay, thank you. Commission members, anyone have any questions on this application?
Yes, I have a couple.
Chairman?
Mr. Natale.
I see on the drawing that's in front of us, it's the used car store and the service and collision center. Is this
Yes.
only service and collision for this facility, or are you moving the service and auto body down from the other location?
I believe that we are moving the service. Well,
I can answer.
Thought-
I can
yeah,
answer that.
maybe Jason from Richard Chevrolet can answer that.
Yeah,
question.
hi. Jason Bionese from Richard Chevrolet. To answer your question, the body shop is moving down to this location, would be moving down to this location. We've outgrown the current facility. service would be smaller and would only be for the purposes of supporting the used car operation that would be out of this facility. We would still be selling used cars at Richard Chevrolet, and we would probably be selling, older used cars at this location, and like certified GM certified vehicles, pre-owned vehicles at the current location. So that is the plan.
Gotcha. And I know that we don't have besides what we see here, we don't have a picture of it, but is it going to be like the Chevy branding colors, like up at the main dealership, or is this totally separate?
We are going to make it similar colors, the blue and the silver grayish color, to keep uniformity. But this will not have the Chevrolet name on it. It will be called Richards, but without the Chevrolet name because of franchise rules, with the fact that we're not selling new vehicles out of here. And there's a host of other franchise rules you have to fall under. So it will still be part of Richard Chevrolet as a whole, but will not have the Chevrolet symbol on it.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Mercado, if Mr. Talley's all set, I think Mr. Mercado said he had a question.
Yes. For any of the runoff, when you're doing auto bodies, any of the water that's from rinsing down vehicles, is there any kind of scrubber or something that's going to collect that, or does that go into the sewer?
So all of the activities for the auto body and the repair is done within the building. There is a drainage system in the floor of the building, and that would go into the oil water grit separator, and then that would discharge into the sewer system.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a letter from the Regional Water Authority I'd like to read into the record.
Sure, go right ahead.
It's a back portion of the site is within the aquifer protection area. None of the developed portions of the site do fall within that, but the Regional Water Authority did get a copy of the plan and asked us to read the following. Dear Mr. Volker, the Regional Water Authority has reviewed the above referenced application. By the way, this is dated September 10th, 2020. Has reviewed the above referenced application. A portion of the property is within the North Cheshire Aquifer Protection Area. The applicant is proposing a used car store with a service and body shop and related parking. Stormwater from the site is directed to several above ground stormwater basins, which is an acceptable way of managing stormwater in an APA. The eastern portion of the site is within the APA. There is no proposed development within the portion of the APA on this parcel. We have confirmed with the Connecticut DEP that only the portion of the parcel within the APA is regulated. Activities outside the APA fall outside the jurisdiction of the APA regulations. Expansion of the business into the APA portion of the parcel would then fall under the APA regulations. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this application. If you have any questions, please call me at 203-401-2741. Sincerely, Regional Water Authority, signed by Ron Walters. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have another question.
Sure, Mr. Mercado.
Do you have any proposed signage that's going to be out on Route 10? What's the size of that? Is it lit? Any info on that, please?
We have depicted a proposed sign location on Route 10, but we have not worked out the details. I believe that Richard would submit a separate permit for that if that's acceptable. We don't really know exactly what that branding, I think, hasn't been worked out yet.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to let the committee know I am here, John Cardaris.
Thank you, Mr. Caderas.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other set of comments from the Cheshire Fire Department.
Yeah, you want to read it in, please?
Yep, this is dated August 28, 2020 from Jack Kasner and Mike Kozlowski. The fire department has reviewed the above application for the planning and zoning process. We recommend the following comments and stipulations. If this application is approved, code compliant plans must be submitted to the building official and fire marshal's office prior to construction. 1, fire department approved emergency key boxes will be installed and maintained in areas designated by the fire chief or his designee. 2, 1 fire hydrant will need to be installed near the corner of the proposed building. Final location to be approved by the fire chief. The water main size will need to be a minimum of 8-inch diameter in accordance with the Cheshire Code of Ordinances. And 3, the water main and fire hydrant will need to be installed in phase 1 of the project. I will tell the commission that the applicants have responded in an affirmative way to these comments. Steve, correct?
Yes.
Your plans have been revised in order to reflect these comments. However, we would still recommend to the condition that you make these conditions of approval should you approve this application. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing else to read.
Okay, no public comment come in, anything?
I have a question.
Suzanne, no public comment, Suzanne? Nothing.
Nothing, okay. Mr. Stroll, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm looking at the map here and I'm trying to figure out what the cross, stop there with the map, please. With the, is that Sandbank Road is gonna be the cross?
No, it is the northerly entrance to Chespercott and Waco.
It's a driveway, Sean.
At the driveway.
It's just north of Realty Drive. I know if you're looking at Google, it's hard to see.
Well, what's messing me up is Barker Advertising Specialty. They're farther down the road.
They might own that. They might own that property though.
Okay, so the Realty Drive would be on the other side of this, would be on the bottom side.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
If you look at the Barker Advertising Specialty, the southerly property line there, that's the Realty Drive
So
right
this,
away.
the driveway across the street is the driveway on the other side of Waco coming out on the Physique Plus on the backside.
Yes.
Is that the driveway I'm looking at? Because I can't really see what's on this, on the opposite side, on the left side.
Right. So there's a driveway that runs between Physique Plus and the Waco building. That's this driveway.
And
So
it goes straight to the back buildings.
goes straight to the back, correct?
Okay, so directly across the street is where your entrance would be.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're gonna, so it's all trees right now. You're gonna, now the topography there, where if you go to the top of the map, it's Lubrick's property, right?
I believe so.
In the hole. So this, where the trees are, I mean, you can't tell right now because it's woods, but is the topography is where this building will be up on a hill and going down, there'll be like on the north side of the property, it'll be going downward into that field? Or is it gonna be lower like the field is?
So the transition from Highland Avenue immediately into the site drops about 10 feet. So
Yeah.
the entrance itself would be raised as it traverses through the property. And then it actually comes into grade right around the second curve. The
What I'm
building
asking is
itself,
from the road, like from Route 10, is the building gonna be taller than Route 10 or lower?
it's going to be, it'll be slightly lower.
Oh, okay, that's what I was just trying to figure out, because I know it is a big transition down into a hole.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was trying to figure out. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, anybody other commission members? Questions or comments on this? No? Okay. This is relatively easy application. I was gonna close this public hearing unless anyone has anything against that. All right, seeing none, we're gonna close this public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. for
With
your
that,
time.
I will take a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Motion to
Thank you.
adjourn.
Moved by Mr. Picado, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Natale. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, moving right on. Like call to order the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning for September 14th, 2020. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from a public hearing and special meeting from July 27th, 2020?
Motion to approve both.
Minutes.
Moved by Mr. Natale, seconded by Mr. Caderas. I'm sorry, Mr. Mercado, I believe it was.
Yes.
It says I was absent at that meeting.
And you were here, right?
It was a long one.
Okay. So with that change, we'll get that to Marilyn. Anyone else have any corrections or anything in the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Under communications, we have a letter from Anthony J. Pizzone. Would you need to read that? I don't have to.
Got it. Dear Commission members, at the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 8, 2020, the above referenced subdivision, pardon me, this is dated September 1st, 2020. It's RE subdivision approval, Miller Napolitano Wolf LLC, TriStar Development
Mr. Chairman.
LLC, North.
Excuse me, Bill. Mr. Chairman, I'm recusing myself.
Okay,
Dear Commission members, at the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission on June 8, 2020, the above referenced subdivision application of Miller Napolitano Wolf and TriStar was approved. Notice of the approval was published in the Cheshire Herald on June 18, 2020. And the appeal period under Section 8-8 of the Connecticut General Statutes expired on July 3, 2020. The approved map is entitled Re-Subdivision Map, Subdivision Plan North End Parcel, 1953 Highland Avenue, 2037 Highland Avenue, and map and block 3-51 Cheshire, Connecticut, sheets 1 and 2 by Malone and McBroom. On behalf of the applicants, we are hereby requesting an extension of the 90-day period to file a subdivision map with the town clerk as authorized in Section 825 of the Connecticut General Statutes. And I have a motion to that effect, Mr. Chairman.
okay, we can hear it, please.
Move that the Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission hereby authorizes a 90-day extension for the filing of the subdivision maps of the approved re-subdivision map, subdivision plan North End Parcel 1953 Highland Avenue, 2037 Highland Avenue, map and block 3-51 Cheshire, Connecticut, sheets 1 and 2 by Malone and McBroom as authorized under Section 825 of the Connecticut General Statutes. I would point out to the Commission that this is one of two 90-day extensions that the statutes authorize.
So move.
This is the first, oh, sorry, moved by Mr. Picado,
Second by
second.
Woody Dawson.
second by Mr. Dawson. This is the first of the two, right? You said?
Oh, they could ask for another one, is what I'm saying, that they're authorized by Connecticut General Statutes to require, or to request two extensions, so.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Don, was that an aye in favor or an opposing? Mr. Kaderis, were you in favor?
That was an aye. I was in
Okay.
favor.
Mr. Kurtz, just for clarification, which one of the alternates is voting in place of Mr. Bowman?
We'll put Miss Downs in there.
Thanks.
And no one abstained, right? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, under unfinished business, we're gonna do the zone map change, Lamp Realty. We're gonna take the zone change first, right? Petition to the zone change. We're gonna hear that first, Bill?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, can we hear that
Okay, I'll
motion,
read this. Move to approve the petition of Lamp Realty LLC to change the zone of 50 Hazel Drive, Assessor's Map 15, Lot 52, from SARDD/R80 to affordable housing, and SARDD, by the way, Special Adaptive Reuse District or Design District, to affordable housing district pursuant to Section 44A of the Cheshire zoning regulations. In approving this petition, the Commission finds the following. 1, the property satisfies the qualifying standard of Section 44A.3.1 for the zone change to affordable housing district in 1. It is located in the SARDD and R80 zones. It is more than 50 feet of frontage on a town road, Hazel Drive, within 500 feet of State Highway 70 between Cheshire Waterbury boundary line and Weiss Road. It is currently served by public water and public sewers, and at 22.2 acres in size is not less than 5 acres nor more than 25 acres. 2, the applicant and the petition fully complied with the submittal requirements and procedures for an affordable housing zone change petition per Section 44A.4 and fully comply with all applicable provisions of the Connecticut General Statutes and Cheshire zoning regulations. 3, the property is well suited for multifamily residential development given its size, historic development, and use, transitional location being adjacent to 2 existing multifamily uses in proximity to open space, employers, a state highway, and the Connecticut Transit bus line. 4, the proposed zone change is consistent with the Town of Cheshire's 2016 Plan of Conservation and Development, particularly the goal to, quote, attract moderately priced housing to meet the needs of residents and moderate incomes, including a broad cross-section of community residents, such as police, firefighters, teachers, young adults, and senior citizens. 5, the zone change to affordable housing development is consistent with the zoning surrounding 50 Hazel Drive and with the overall scheme of the zoning regulations and zoning map of the Town of Cheshire. It will advance the goals of collaboratively adding affordable housing in Cheshire and employing an alternative to Section 8-30G of the Connecticut General Statutes that the Commission articulated in the Plan of Conservation and Development and in Section 44A. 6, the current supply of affordable housing within the town and the Central Naugatuck Valley Planning Region is inadequate. There is a clear and substantial need for creation of new affordable housing in Cheshire, particularly in the moderately priced category that Section 44A seeks to address. The proposed zone change will help to alleviate some of that documented need. 7, Section 44A.5.1 of the zoning regulations provides that the Commission shall approve a petition to create an affordable housing district unless it finds the following. A, denial of petition is required to protect substantial public interest in health, safety, or other matters which the Commission may legally consider such substantial public interest clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing, and such substantial public interest cannot be otherwise protected by reasonable changes to the petition. Or B, the petition would locate affordable housing in an area which is zoned for industrial use and which does not permit residential uses, or the petition does not propose an affordable housing development as defined in Section 44A.2.2 of these regulations, or the petitioner does not meet the qualifying standards of Section 44A.3. 8, denial of this petition is not required to protect any substantial public interest in health, safety, or other matters which the Commission may legally consider. 9, no substantial public interest implicated by the proposed zone change clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing in Cheshire. 10, any substantial public interest implicated by the proposed zone change can be protected by reasonable changes to the petition. 11, the subject property is not zoned for industrial use. 11, the petition proposed an affordable housing development as defined in Section 44A.2. And 13, the effective date for the zone change of 50 Hazel Drive to affordable housing development is October 9th, 2020, following publication posting of notice of this approval. So read the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question on this.
Do we get it moved and seconded first?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by,
Second.
Anyone?
Woody Dawson.
okay, Mr. Natale. Mr. Picado, you had the question?
Yeah, one question. If this passes, this moves, and then the development does not get passed, does that zoning still change, or does it follow the development?
No, it's a zone change, so you would have still changed the zone of the property.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion on this motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Linder.
I'd like to make a statement before we get into any discussions of these two motions.
Okay,
Well, for the record, I'd like to say that several weeks ago, while the public hearing was still in progress, I received several emails, and I understand other commissioners did as well, from residents in the neighborhoods affected by this application. I also received a letter from a resident, and I believe other commissioners did also. Speaking for myself, I glanced at the emails and letter, but did not read them, and I did not take in any of the contents. I did not engage the residents with any discussion of the application. I subsequently learned that our state rep, Liz Linehan, disseminated the commissioners' email addresses to the residents. These addresses were not made public by the town. This was a questionable move on her part, as any direct contact from the residents via email with a commissioner while a public hearing was open could have led to an ex parte communication and therefore jeopardized the integrity of the vote and put the application in jeopardy. So I'm asking my fellow commissioners to go on record and state if they had any ex parte communications with the residents, because I think it's important that we clear the air on this issue if it ever comes up either later or after our vote. And lastly, I would like to admonish our state rep, Liz Linehan, and that she refrain from reckless behavior like this in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Gil. Mr. Natale.
Just to tag on to what Mr. Linder said, yes, I did receive the same emails that he did. I did not respond to any of them. I appropriately passed them on to Mr. Volker and the planning office, and he shared them with all parties involved. So, Mr. Linder, I hope that suffices for what you're looking for, but I did receive the same and passed them on, didn't have any correspondence outside of the hearings.
Mr. Tedesco.
Yes, I think I probably received the same emails, and I recall receiving one letter. I didn't read them. I believe, however, that they were all also part of the public record. I don't think that anything that I received was not part of the public record. So it would have been hard for those to be ex parte by themselves because they're part of the public record. I didn't respond to any of them. I'm glad Mr. Linder brought this up. So for future reference, if I receive things to my home address, I'm going to just delete them. I'm not going to bother with them. People shouldn't be sending things to our home address. Everything should go through the planning office. So in the future, I'm just going to delete them right away. Anyway, but I didn't have any ex parte communications with anyone.
Ms. Towns.
Just for the record, I also received emails and letters, and I called up Bill and just said, what do I do with these? And he said, ignore them, which I did. But I received multiple things. I didn't communicate with anyone.
Okay, Mr. Bowen.
I received none.
No friends, huh?
None. It's easier that way.
I also received most of the emails that I'm sure we're all talking about. I turned them over to the planning department. I had no communication with anyone. And also anything that I received was written into the record or read into the record during our meetings.
Chairman?
Yes, who do I not have? Mr. Dawson?
Myself. Rob.
Sorry.
So I received those emails, and on top of that, I received a text message from a friend that lives up in that area. I told that individual that I can't talk about it. That individual rescinded their text message and realized they shouldn't be talking to me, just to get that on record.
Okay, thank
you. I too received the emails. I think I opened one, realized what it was, forwarded them to the Planning and Zoning Commission, had no communication with anybody other than Mr. Volker.
All right. Who did we get? Did we get everybody?
I also received the emails we're talking about and didn't respond to any of them.
Okay, great. That was Mr. Andrews. Mr. Strollo.
I deleted them.
Okay. Mr. Soma.
I forwarded them right to Bill. Everything that I received was in public record as well.
Okay. All right, going back to the motion. Anyone have any comments on the motion in front? Mr. Tedesco.
Yeah, very briefly. I'm going to vote in favor of this motion. I believe that the requirements of the regulation have been met, and there's no substantial public health reason against it. It's always unfortunate when we have to, if we vote for something that makes the neighbors unhappy, and I feel badly about that. But obviously, as everybody else feels, we have to focus on the facts and the evidence. I don't believe that this is going to cause a hardship for the neighborhood. I've thought a lot about it, as I'm sure everybody else has. The traffic is one thing that you would certainly be concerned about with a project such as this. But I think the traffic's going to go right from the apartment complex right up Hazel Drive and out. And there's really no reason for anybody to be driving through the neighborhoods with, certainly that will happen sometimes, everything happens sometimes, but I can't imagine that there will be any substantial traffic through the neighborhoods. There will be on Hazel Drive going out to Route 70, but I think that's the only place we're going to see it. I'll note also that there also was a quite intense use of this property until 15 years ago, and that was the nursing home. This is probably comparable, maybe a little more of an intense use, but very similar to the nursing home. So there's been nothing there for 15 years, but certainly there was a fairly substantial use of this property in the past.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tesco. Anyone else wishing to speak on the motion?
Yes, Chairman. Mr. Picado.
Mr. Picado.
I feel pretty much the same on that area. It is a nice area to turn into one of these zones. I will be voting in favor in this particular motion. I think it could be a smaller development that's going to go in there. I think there are some hardships on the residents in that area, but something smaller, little less invasive, I believe would be good up there. So I will be voting for this particular motion.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak on the motion?
I do. I will be voting in favor of the motion. It meets the requirements, and I think that I'm duty bound to vote for it.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay, I am also voting in favor of this application. On top of what everybody else has said, I'm also very happy that it came in and they're actually using the Cheshire affordable housing regulations, which I'm very happy about. Anyone else that wants to speak before we vote? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries unanimously, and we have all 9 members of our regular commission here voting. Moving on to our second motion, we're going to take the parking waiver part of the motion next.
You ready?
Yes, we are.
Request for to defer delay construction of 45 parking spaces on the affordable housing site development application, 50 Hazel Drive, Lamp Realty LLC, as shown on plans entitled Site Plan Grading Utilities, Sheet 6 of 14, Lakeside of Cheshire Residential Housing, 50 Hazel Drive, Cheshire, Connecticut, revised through May 29, 2020. The applicant proposes to construct 182 parking spaces and is shown on the plans adequate area and location to construct a 45 deferred parking spaces at a later date if necessary. All the 228 parking spaces have received approval from the Cheshire Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. The Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission finds that strict compliance with the standards of 2 spaces per dwelling unit is not required to protect substantial public interest in health, safety, or other matters which the commission may legally consider. Such substantial public interests do not clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing, and such substantial public interest can be protected by reasonable changes to the application, and hereby approve this request. At such time, the commission notifies the applicant that 183 spaces are insufficient. If the 183 spaces are insufficient, applicant shall promptly construct the 45 deferred spaces for such portion thereof as the commission shall direct. The applicant shall also retain their right to construct the additional 45 spaces in accordance with the approved plans if they determine these spaces are needed. So I read the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anyone going to move the motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bowman, seconded by
A second.
Mr. Kaderis. Okay, discussion on this motion, Mr. Natale.
Based on what we heard during the public hearings about the statistics, based on history, like projects, they were interesting to listen to. But there's no data, no statistics, no projections available anywhere because we're in a different time now with COVID. And there's no history for a like project of what that would do to the traffic flow that was described in the traffic flow for the parking spaces that was described in the hearings. I know that Mr. Sterlo and I both brought that up during the public hearings, and with the majority of folks still working from home, and for all those reasons, I will not be voting in favor of this motion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bowen?
I have a couple of questions that I need to have answered, if you don't mind. And I don't know, Bill, I don't know if you can help, or I went back and went through this. Obviously, this is a very contentious application. The first question I have is when they received wetlands approval, did they receive wetlands approval for the full amount of parking spaces necessary by our regulation?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Yes.
They're approved for full build out by the Wetlands Commission.
I'm sorry?
They are approved for full build out by the Wetlands Commission.
Okay, thank you. While the public hearing was going on, I believe there was two experts that spoke to the fact that the additional parking was not necessary. If it's not necessary, and if we have the ability, and according to our motion, we should have the ability at any time to go back and require the applicant to put in the additional parking. In my opinion, anyway, I don't see the necessity in having more impervious area in a subdivision than is necessary. Is there any projection as to how many square feet of impervious surface that this is going to entail?
Well, that's a simple math problem. So,
well, I was educated in the Cheshire school system, so that could be a problem.
yeah, it's about 7,300 square feet of additional area. I was educated in Poughkeepsie, New York, so it didn't matter.
Okay, so you're saying 7,300.
About 7,300 square feet of impervious surface.
So at 7,500, and let's double it to 15,000. So this whole issue then does not become any type of a financial situation, because to put in even 15,000 square feet of additional parking is minimal to the cost of this project. So that's the financial part of this really doesn't enter into it. So do we need it? We've had two experts say that they don't feel that it's necessary. We've had no experts say that it is necessary. And financially, it really doesn't matter. And Wetlands has approved the full amount so that at any time we could go back and request that this be put in without additional wetlands approval. So therefore, I will be voting in favor of this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bowman. Anyone else like to speak on this motion?
Yes.
Is that
Cardaris.
Cardaris? Okay.
I will be voting in favor for any time. In addition to the expert witnesses that we've heard, we've had other people in the past explain to us that the trend is for people to have less cars and less driving over time. And anything that we can do that would have less impervious surfaces, I think it would be a good thing. And for that reason, I'm going to be voting in favor of it as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cardaris. Mr. Tedesco, I saw a hand up.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Bowman and Mr. Carderas.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Linder.
Yes, I agree with all the previous speakers. And if I spoke to Bill today, it's a very simple matter. If there is a problem in the future, if for some reason things don't work out, we can very easily require the additional spots. I think Bill could
correct
confirm that.
What we would
and we can do it without a public hearing
Right.
as well.
Correct. That's right.
How do we find out if there's an issue?
I'm sure you get neighbors.
You'd see
right
it.
away.
You'd see it if they're parking on the street. I mean, it's not a project of this scale. You'd see it. If they're parking on the street out there, we'd hear about it, we'd see it, and that would be it.
Is there a
Not hard.
time frame when we see the issue and we ask them to add in those if it's needed? Is there a time frame that they have to respond in and have it corrected?
They would have to respond as soon as reasonably they're able to. So in other words, if you see it in January, since they can't pave until the spring, the expectation would be when the paving plant's open, that they would put the parking spaces in. So
And if they don't and they drag it out?
then you have a grounds for action. So we could go to court, judge would order them to put it in. So,
And at what expense is that to the town of Cheshire to go to court?
well, the town attorney would probably move for them to pay our fees, since they created the problem. Not unusual, by the way, so.
Anybody else wishing to speak on this motion? Okay, all the ones that we've done this deferral of parking. I have yet one that we've had to go back and ask them to put the parking in. I agree with Jeff that this could be an issue, but it's from what I've seen so far being on the commission for many, many years, we've never had to go back and ask more parking to be put in. So, and we still have the right, like everybody said, to make them do this. And I think it says promptly construct the 45 extra spaces. So yeah, I'm going to be voting also in favor of this to let them not put the spaces in until required by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So, Mr. Dawson, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I like to piggyback on what you said, Mr. Kirk, very wise speaking on that. I've been on the commission for over 30 years and we've never, to my best of my knowledge, to protect myself, I know that we've never had a problem, ever, ever, ever. And I'm sure Bill could say the same thing as long as he's been there. I can't ever remember us having a problem. Thank you,
We
Ms.
occasionally
Kurtz.
defer, we have not had a problem, no.
Okay, anyone else want to speak on this motion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we have Mr. Natale. Is there anyone else opposed? And anyone abstaining? Okay, motion carries 8-1. And our last motion on this for
Motion to
the.
approve affordable housing. Yep, I'm ready.
Go right ahead.
Motion to approve affordable housing site development application, 50 Hazel Drive. I move to approve the affordable housing site development application of Lamp Realty LLC to construct a 114 unit affordable housing development with 183 parking spaces provided and 45 parking spaces deferred at 50 Hazel Drive, Assessors Map 15, Lot 52, pursuant to sections 40 and 44A of the Cheshire zoning regulations. 1, approving this petition, the commission finds the following. 1, the commission has approved the zone change to affordable housing district for the 50 Hazel Drive property. 2, the proposed development qualifies in an affordable housing development and as a set-aside development as defined in section 44A.2.2 of the zoning regulations. 3, the application fully complies with all of the standards of section 44A and section 40, as well as all other applicable sections of the Cheshire zoning regulations, Connecticut general statutes. 4, the applicant and its team have satisfactorily addressed all questions and concerns raised by the commission, town staff, and the public throughout the proceeding. 5, the affordability plan, including the submission, properly sets forth the income verification, rent calculation, and other rules governing the affordable units in compliance with section 44A.6.3, paren 13. The current supply of affordable housing within the town of Cheshire and the central Naugatuck Valley planning region is inadequate. There is a clear and substantial need for creation of new affordable housing in Cheshire, particularly in the moderately priced category that section 44A seeks to address. The proposed affordable housing development will alleviate some of this documented need. 7, section 44A.7.1 of the zoning regulations provides that the commission shall approve an affordable housing development application unless it finds the following. A, denial of the application is required to protect substantial public interest in health, safety, or other matters which the commission may legally consider. Such substantial public interest clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing, and such substantial public interest cannot be otherwise protected by reasonable changes to the application. Or B, the application would locate affordable housing in an area which is zoned for industrial use and which does not permit residential uses, or the application does not propose an affordable housing development as defined in section 44A.2 of these regulations. Or C, the application does not meet the requirements for an affordable housing development application as set forth herein. 8, denial of this application of this affordable housing site development application is not required to protect any substantial public interest in health, safety, or other matters which the commission may legally consider. 9, the substantial public interest implicated by the application clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing in Cheshire. 10, any substantial public interest implicated by the application can be protected by reasonable changes to the application. 11, the subject property is not zoned for industrial use. 12, the petition proposes an affordable housing development as defined in section 44A.2. 13, the application meets the requirements for an affordable housing development application as set forth in section 44A. 14, provisions for water, sewage, and stormwater are adequate and do not overburden existing water, sewer, and stormwater drainage facilities on-site or off-site. 15, the pedestrian circulation system is adequate for the pedestrian traffic. Anticipated in development incorporates all necessary safety precautions for children walking to and from schools or bus stops. 16, on-site and resultant off-site traffic and circulation patterns do not create traffic safety hazards or other substantial congestion within the affordable housing development or intersection of the AHD access drive and existing public streets. 17, applicant shall execute an affordable housing restrictive covenant complying with section 8-30G of the Connecticut General Statutes and section 8-30G-9 of the regulations of Connecticut state agencies. The final form of the affordable housing restrictive covenant shall be subject to review and approval by the town attorney for the town of Cheshire. And finally, 18, applicant shall file a bond with surety with the commission to assure completion of the public improvements for the development as shown on the approved map submitted in connection with the affordable housing development application. So reads the motion. Mr.
Most
Chairman.
supporting.
Mr. Dawson, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Kaderis. Discussion on this motion. All right, I guess we got all our discussion out the last motion, so.
I'll say something.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mercado, go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel that this development, these two buildings are way too large for that little area. I think there's gonna be too many people, too many cars traveling on Hazel leaving. I've been there plenty of times. I got friends over there. Leaving that area is not a safe thing. I'm afraid if there's kids that are gonna be moved into there, where are they gonna stand in bad weather and climate weather on the end of that road? If the town doesn't wanna put buses down that road, the way we are with COVID and close proximity of each other, putting people in a building that are all on the same floor with their doors in the same hallway is just gonna make any of these kind of pandemics worse. It seems like a lot of areas are going to smaller little buildings that are distant, sort of like we have up on the road on West Main Street. I'd rather see something like that. I've lived on the water. The noise that travels across the water is going to disrupt that whole neighborhood, especially the street across from the pond. The lights are going to be bad there. I just feel it's at 4 stories is way too big for that little area. I'd rather have seen something smaller. I do think we need some affordable housing a little bit more in town, but to me, that's just massive for that area. So I won't be voting for this.
Okay. Any other discussion on this motion?
Mr. Chairman.
All right. Yes, Mr. Linder.
Um,
Yes, Mr. Linder.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think the development is a good thing. I think the neighborhood's been living with basically a blighted property for years now, and yeah, the nursing home itself did generate traffic, so there were no complaints about it at that time. I will be voting in favor of this, but we're back to the same situation that we've been in before, where the town road, in my opinion, the town road needs improvement. We talked about the sidewalk, which basically doesn't exist at the moment, and I don't know how that sidewalk's going to be fixed. I don't know if the developer said they would do it, but that's certainly the town's responsibility to fix that sidewalk, and so that kids can walk down to the bus stop if that's the reason. As Mr. Brucato said, yeah, they probably also may need a shelter to wait for the bus. So again, I think that's the town's responsibility to possibly build a small shelter to help the kids there. And lastly, the apartment at the end of the street towards Route 70, as you can tell, they park all over the place. They park across the street. If they continue to park across the street, that would block the kids from continuing from the sidewalk to the bus stop. So I think it's kind of a nasty situation there with that apartment house. And again, that's the responsibility of the town and zoning enforcement to fix that situation. But as we know, we can't require offsite improvements when we vote on an application. So I just wanted to make that comment and put the town on notice that I would expect some improvements there. Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Volker, but the project is of this magnitude still needs to go to OSTA, and wouldn't that be something that OSTA would come in and say requirements that would have to be done, changed?
Well, OSTA has more authority than we have, certainly. The OSTA could make improvements to the road if they chose to, but Gil, the comment you made about the sidewalk, the applicant has offered to clear the sidewalk once, not to make any improvements to it, but at least to clear it as part of the application. They would do that, and they offered to do that. We're not requiring them to do that. I wouldn't rely on OSTA, though, to make all the things that the road may need. I would be careful with that and wouldn't make any assumptions that OSTA is going to be the savior with respect to improvements to the town road. So,
Anyone else wishing to speak on this motion? No? Okay. So all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose?
I oppose.
Okay. Any other opposed? Okay. Anyone abstaining? Okay. Motion carries 8-1. Thank you. How do you guys all feel about Richard Chevrolet? I liked what I saw. I didn't think there was that many issues there. Everybody okay with hearing Mr. Baldwin say something?
I think that was pretty clean. If no one else has a problem, I wouldn't mind voting on that tonight.
I'd like to vote on that tonight.
Agree.
And I thought everybody be on the same page. So
I agree. I
Okay.
agree.
can we hear the motion for that, please, Mr. Roper?
yes, Mr. Chairman, special permit application, Richard Chevrolet / Jill Silverman for construction of a used car store, service and body shop. The Cheshire Planning and Zoning Commission find that the proposal to construct a used car store and service and body shop as shown on plans entitled Used Car Store and Service and Body Shop, Highland Avenue, Cheshire, Connecticut, revised through September 8, 2020, are consistent with the requirements set forth in Section 30, Schedule A, Item 43, and Section 40 Special Permits of the Cheshire zoning regulations, and hereby approve this application subject to compliance with comments from the Cheshire Fire Department dated August 28, 2020.
Move staff wording.
Second.
Woody Dawson.
Moved by Mr. Dawson, seconded by Mr. Mercado. Any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Gertz.
Mr. Dawson? Mr. Dawson.
I think it's a good application. It's a long time business, very well run. Property's kept well. I think their application was very acceptable, and I'm voting in favor of it.
Great. I would agree. Nice old time Cheshire business expanding in Cheshire. That's what we like to see. So anyone else have anything else to say? Okay. All those in favor of the motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Natale. Was that a hand up?
I just want to say that I agree with what Mr. Dawson and Mr. Kurtz said. I think it's great that they're staying in town. I think it's great that they're expanding, and good luck. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, great. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time and consideration tonight.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. New business zone map change petition, Ricky Construction Group, 687 South.
October 14th, public hearing on that one, Mr. Chairman.
October 14th, okay.
Yep.
Special permit application, Michael Delaney, Mixville Road, accessory apartment.
Accessory apartment, that would be on September 29th,
Okay, and counterweight, site plan application.
September 29th. That's a site plan application.
Okay, and Rondo's Realty.
That is a special permit modification to expand his parking lot. We're recommending that for September 29th as well.
All right, anything else to come before the commission tonight?
No other business, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second that.
Move Mr. Kaderis, second by Mr. Dawson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Night all.
Have a good one.
Good night.